What's up there, misfits? How y'all doing? This reading is the Zodiac season guide for mutable signs. That is Gemini, Sag, Virgo, and Pisces, for those of you not on the uptake of that language. So, I have already pulled your oracle cards. So for your theme and your message and your soul lesson, doing things a little bit different since I'm on audio here. And I appreciate y'all's patience because I know it's been like a week since I put the first one out. So thank you for your continued patience as I get myself set on a schedule, getting these out. So yeah, let's hop in. So your theme, actually you had two. Your theme for Cancer season, mutable signs, is physical activity and compassion. And it's interesting because I wasn't real sure how these were connected when it first came out. And then once your message came through, it started to make a little bit more sense. So some of y'all out there, first and foremost, need to have compassion for yourself, okay? In whatever sense of the word that resonates with you, you need to have a little bit more compassion with yourself. Stop being hard on yourself. For others of you, this compassion may be in regards to physical activity. So I don't know if some of you are kind of laid up right now, or you're sick, or even just the energy isn't there to really get up and move around and exercise maybe how you want to aid yourself in getting healthy. You are being instructed to don't beat yourself up for that. Health is in many forms. It comes in many forms, right? So you can work on the health in other areas if you cannot be physically active. So like working on what you consume and what you put in your body can make a difference. So yeah, but otherwise, outside of that initial message, I am getting that more of you need to get physically active. I think that, oh boy, some of you, I'm getting like that you're wired. Like even when I sat down the first time 2 days ago to try to do your reading, like the energy was very hyper. Almost like manic. It was really strange. Thinking about that I had to do your reading today. It's like roughly 8 a.m. in the morning on July 1st. Like I even had trouble sleeping. Like it was just really weird energy. Like I didn't really sleep at all. So physical activity, I think, is necessary for you because you might have racing thoughts is the word that's coming to mind, but I think this rolls a little bit deeper than that. I think some of you have got a lot on your mind. You've been reflecting, where you've been and how far you've come, and maybe even looking at the road ahead and getting a little discouraged about what's coming next. And again, that's where this compassion card is coming in. Like, you can't get there before you get there. You know what I mean? So having that forgiveness for however long it might take you to get from point A to point B is going to be much more useful for you in the long run than being hypercritical of yourself. Okay? So the deeper energies and lessons of all the cards that I pulled out for you, is that pride comes before the fall. Okay, so some of you have some serious doubt about, I would say, not just your physical journey, but your spiritual one as well. For some of you, this is new that you're stepping into, this whole idea of the spiritual stuff, quote unquote. And so there's a lot of doubt, and there's even a lot of judgment of yourself for stepping into this path and trying to understand what's going on, and really the downloads that you're getting, which BT dubs, those are called downloads. Those little random messages that you'll get, the sudden insights that come out of nowhere. Just as a side note, I think Uranus has a really huge part to play in that. This is what I've realized. I study astrology, so mostly trying to figure out why I pick up the things that I pick up, because it just does not seem to make any sense, but somehow there's just things I just know. And anyways, so astrology has been one of the ways I've been studying and trying to reconcile that section of my gift. Now, it's interesting that I even bring that up for you guys, because I was thinking about this the other day when I initially sat down and tried to do your reading, of just how interesting and enlightening astrology has been in my path of, self-discovery and just self-enlightenment, learning about myself, learning, who I am, the things that make me tick, the things that make me happy, that type of thing, right? And it's interesting that I'm mentioning this to y'all, because I think that perhaps this path is very similar to what y'all are looking at down the road. And that might be causing some doubt for you. Like, the way astrology has traditionally been viewed among those who are not in esoteric circles is there is a lot of judgment. There is no compassion. Like, it's viewed as a pseudoscience. I'm here to tell you, some of the stuff I discovered about Saturn, hoo-wee. Yeah, astrology is not a pseudoscience, okay? But in any case, like, what you're not recognizing is that having all this, how do I explain this? Because the saying that came through is pride cometh before the fall. So I don't know if you're someone who's like, oh, I know it all and you know nothing, and, one of those people, or if this is more of a scenario where you may be coming across to people as just dismissive, especially in the realms of esoteric knowledge and belief systems. And then, sometimes when that happens, I've even had my own moments of that, you will get spanked by the divine, whether you believe there is a divine source creator or not. Okay? There are higher energies at play. You can label them whatever you want to label them. Okay? But they do exist. So, it could be something like that going on for y'all. Either way, the larger message for you is that you can't go back to sleep. You can choose to not acknowledge these higher truths, but it would likely be to your own detriment. And even that said, going back to sleep is not an option. The alarm clock has gone off. The windows are open. The room is full with air. Okay? And there's no going back to sleep. The bed has been made, sheets pulled off, all that other stuff. Room is being cleaned, vacuum's going off. You ain't going back to sleep, honey, okay? And in any case, because of this, because you've become aware, which is usually what happens, like when you finally become aware, like what's the word I'm looking for? That you, I don't know, knowing your gut and in a certain amount of truth that, that, the esoteric world exists, that the spiritual world exists, you can't unknow that. You can't unknow that. Believe me, I've tried. Because sometimes it can get a little freaky. Especially depending on how deep your gifts are. Okay? But either way, going back to sleep is not an option. So the card that came up for your message of kind of where you are on your hero's journey right, is to be the bridge, you know. So whether you realize it or not, during this certain period of time, I don't have a full, I don't know, I guess we'll say 67 months, however many months that is, that you've been in your own spiritual journey and that you have reached the end of one leg of it. It's very similar to the fixed sign reading. So if you've got some heavy fixed placements, I would actually suggest looking at that reading as well for Cancer season, because I'm seeing a theme here between the two. But you are literally a bridge of consciousness for people because you've already gone through this. So your compassion is required and your judgment and doubt need to be dismissed. Like, taken out of your vocabulary, taken out of your behavior, right? Because that's going to affect the work that you're able to do moving forward, the positive work you're able to do moving forward. So I feel like for many of you, you're questioning your connection to Source, and if you've actually experienced what you believe you have experienced. And while sharing your story per se is not required, there is a reason you feel pushed to do so, and your story will help others and has ripple effects on not just them, but on everyone else who crosses their life because you opened your mouth. So it's kind of this idea of when we lift one, we lift all, right? Each one teach one. So, you know what else is interesting? Like, this is kind of resonating with a Gemini reading that I did. Oh my God, it must have been last year. Yeah, I think it last year, maybe. Oh, excuse me. Okay, confirmation. Last year, maybe even the year before. It was called Your Story Can Save a Life. So I think I'll link that in the description box. And if this reading resonates for you, I would suggest checking out that video as well. That's probably still to this day one of the most powerful readings I've ever done on YouTube. Yeah, it was very potent. It took a little bit of a dark turn, especially in the extended if you choose to go forward and watch that. So you've been warned, but yeah, powerful message in that video. So anyways, yeah, so I feel like the physical activity card coming out for you guys is important because it's telling you that you need to get active in order to sort out some of the thoughts that are going through your head. Maybe some of you are experiencing like racing thoughts. Again, I got that kind of manic thing popping up. And as a message. And the song which is really interesting, because normally I'll get a song before or I'll get a song after. It doesn't typically happen in the midst of a reading, but the song I got was Out of My Mind by B.O.B. I'll also link the lyrics and the video if you want to, look into that. So basically you're being returned to past situations, because you're the bridge to elevation in those situations, maybe even for some of those people. Now, it's not saying that if this is like an ex, partner or like an ex-friend who didn't treat you right, or, even a parent that you don't talk to anymore. This isn't saying that you necessarily need to, like hold their hand, and allow yourself to be, allow your energy to be accessed by them, but you are still the bridge. And there's something that you will speak on very likely that could be life-changing for them. Okay. So, but in order to sort that out, I think y'all need to get active. Okay. Which makes a lot of sense for mutable signs. I got a lot of mutable energy in my chart, so I do understand very deeply, very deeply about needing to be active and what happens when you're not. All right, so we finished getting your cards out here. Oh, that's a very interesting tipping point. Okay, so you have the Eight of Pentacles starting out. your reading. Then we move to the Nine of Pentacles, so we've got progression, and that's pretty dope. You have the Knight of Wands comes next, and then your tipping point is the Judgment card. So the fact that this is a major is pretty telling, and the fact that it's this particular major is that much more telling. The Judgment card represents the scene within of resurrection. Let me just put it that way. It's more of a Christian concept than necessarily an Abrahamic religion concept. But this idea of like the rapture and resurrection. Oh, this is a really, really potent reading. Okay, so the card you got after your tipping point is the Moon card. And then the Four of Swords. I got one more for you. Oh, and of course, two popped out. Ace of Cups with the Chariot. Okay, to bookend your reading. Very, very interesting. Mutable signs. We might end up clarifying that Judgment card, because that's a pretty strong card. Okay, bottom of the deck, you've got the World. So there is a massive, massive ending taking place right now for you mutable signs. I feel like you've been working really hard at something, as evidenced by the Eight of Pentacles, and you are now into a place of, I would say, financial independence, not a care in the world. The Nine of Pentacles is my sitting pretty card. But of course, with the Nine of Pentacles card, there is an element of isolation to the card. It's like you've become successful, but you're by yourself. So how successful are you really? Is kind of the question that can be posed by the Nine of Pentacles. With the Knight of Wands appearing next to it, though, I feel like you've been trying to get yourself to this point so that you could move forward on something, so that you could execute on something, as evidenced by the Knight of Wands literally running towards the Judgment card. You were looking to get into a place, getting back to self. Okay, let me put it that way. So you're looking to get back to self with as hard as you've been working. So for some of you, this might have been a scenario where at one point you had high status and you lost that status for whatever reason. And that's what you've been working back towards, is to try to get to that. Okay. I feel like you get close here with the Nine of Pentacles. It's not exactly the 10. You know, we're not talking, it's not legacy wealth yet, but you're sitting pretty. Okay? You're sitting pretty. Now, with the Judgment card appearing here, I kind of feel like there's something that you are keeping from people around you with this card, and that's not something I would normally get. However, because of the fact that the Moon appears after the Judgment card in your reading, and the Moon is one of secrets, like, or at least that's one interpretation. So, you know, I'm hearing that saying, which one do you feed, right? So there's this story, you have to forgive me, I don't remember exactly where it comes from, but there's the idea that it's like a grandfather talking to his grandson, or a father talking to his son, or something like that, and, you know, he's talking about the differences between a good wolf or a bad wolf or a dog and a wolf. I'm remembering as it's like a dog and a wolf, and it's like, which one do you feed? You know what I mean? Do you feed the wolf who is wild and ruthless and violent, or do you feed the quote unquote good energy of the dog who is, helpful and nurturing, and compassionate? And for some of you, maybe you've been feeding the wolf. I just heard Wolf on Wall Street. So that's really interesting. Okay. Maybe some of you are playing around with stocks. The fact that I'm hearing that, so that's kind of interesting. Wolf on Wall Street. In any case, maybe you've been feeding the wolf all this time, and now you need to feed the dog. Dogs are very compassionate. They are a man's best friend. Wolves are a threat to humans, for the most part. All other things being equal, right? In nature. Yeah, it seems like some of you have been pushing yourself to the point of exhaustion, but it's not physical. This feels a lot like mental energy. Confirmation. So yeah, this is mental energy that you've been pushing yourself. Okay, that's so weird. So you've got the Four of Swords, which is 100% a card of rest. It's a sit your ass down real quick, it's alright, just chill. And then to get that and physical activity in the same reading, it's very strange. It tells me, again, with the, itchy nose. Okay, mental, deep mental energy. Ooh, okay, I'm getting itchy. Something's bugging me about this. Heavy mental energy. In order to sort through that mental energy, you need to be physically active. So I don't know. I mean, if some of you are already physically active, you might need to rethink how you're being physically active. So let me give a couple examples here. So if you're someone who normally would jog or run, maybe you need to walk. If you are someone who lifts weights, maybe you need to jog. If you're someone who swims, maybe you need to go to a sauna, which is not exactly getting active, but it is kind of getting active because it gets the blood going. So you maybe need to find an alternative. If, like I said, if you're lifting weights, maybe you need to kickbox or something. The physical activity will help with the mental, I'm going to say confusion, because it feels like confusion. This reading's kind of, yeah, this is interesting. But I feel like ultimately, with where your reading is bookending, the entire goal is love. Now, I don't know what that's regarding to, if that's necessarily love of a person, if it's self-love, if it's familial love, if it's romantic love. It's not giving me any of that. But the Ace of Cups in and of itself is love. And the fact that you've got the Chariot that came out with that tells me that that's where this Knight of Wands is heading. It's heading towards its Ace of Cups. Okay, so there's a specific goal, person, thing that you've had in mind that you've been trying to reach, but you've had to go through this spiritual growth process, I feel like, in order to even get within the realm of what it is that you're trying to go after for, whatever this Ace of Cups is for you. Okay, I do want to, I'm just going to clarify a couple, because we're already super deep in this reading. Ooh. Okay, one for judgment, please. What is judgment about? Ooh, the crone. Very interesting. Okay. Some of you may have had a encounter with Hecate, and you don't really know what to do with that. She's kind of funny to me. She's very subtle. So the crone energy is an energy of wisdom. Okay? So what that tells me with this judgment card, with resurrection, resurrection and rapture is really what I should call it, is that there's some deeper wisdom that is to be learned here of why you're being brought back to wherever this is, wherever the Knight of Wands has taken you. Again, like I said, resurrection and rapture, actually we can probably add redemption in there as well, speaks to going back to your past to take care of something, to solve something. Okay? There's definitely knowledge to be gained there. Some of you might be neurodivergent, I think is the now correct term for that. So there might be some mental health issues. I am picking up that some of you may need to actually go to counseling, or be counseled by an older, wiser woman or feminine energy, that there is knowledge to be gained about yourself and the duality within yourself that you're trying to reconcile. Okay? And again, recognize that even despite all of this, that you are the bridge. Okay? You do have a story that will help others. So very, very interesting. Mutable signs. So yeah, stop doubting yourself. Stop doubting this journey that you've been on, and recognize it has happened. You haven't done everything perfect, and that's okay. That's okay. Interesting. Yeah, many of you, your intuition, at least at this time and for whatever reason, is off the charts. I feel like I'm speaking to someone who's very, very new to this world of psychic phenomena, esoteric sciences, new agey stuff. You're very, very new to this, new to listening to your intuition and tuning into it and getting, and fine tuning it, if that makes sense. Yeah, so again, physical activity will help for you specifically, mutable signs. Someone that you can trust. I am picking up an older feminine energy. And this is someone who I feel like you can trust to talk to you about these things. And that there is knowledge to be gained as you're heading towards your Ace of Cups. And you are racing towards that Ace of Cups, whatever that may be for you, okay? But I do feel like it's some type of ending of one way of life. So we're going to go ahead and call that here. I hope this helped. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Help a homegirl out. I've been out of the game for like a year. So your engagement does help. This video gets circulated and does help the channel. With that, remember your peace is your power. And I will check y'all next time. Bye.